Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to United View. Welcome to another morning show here on the channel. Make sure all of you guys smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. To be fair, last couple of shows, the push for the likes, I haven't been on it as much. I've been so engrossed and so annoyed with some of the news that had been coming out. I just lost myself. And Owen is back to bring an element of calm to the shows. He's seen enough.
I've seen some stuff. I've seen some comments. I've seen some people saying, "Flex, you're getting too outraged. You're too over the top." I've seen people say it. I've seen people saying that. I'm here to add brevity to the situation. Flex.
Yeah, that's what we need. You saw the polls that I ran yesterday, the fair ones. I didn't want to mislead with leading questions. That the community agreed on the questions. I slightly shaded the first one, 52%.
Yeah,
and then the people who felt less sort of trusted in Ineos, that vote won as well. The democracy spoke. It wasn't me just with the agenda. But today is less about that. I've had my say on that, but we are going to hear from Owen, of course, because he didn't get to have his say yesterday about the whole Dan Ashworth thing. But from me, just to let you know, it's not me just rambling on again. I've done that. It's about what happens next. It's about moving forward. There's been a lot in the media and reports about what the new transfer strategy is going to be, the fact that Ashworth won't be replaced, etc., and all of the stuff in between as well, a little bit of transfer news as well. So loads to get into. Owen, safest place to start, actually.
Yeah.
The floor is yours. Well, I'm going to go on mute. What do you feel from Sunday to Tuesday the 10th?
What's funny is, so I'd pre-planned I was going to be off on Sunday and Monday because I was actually traveling, and nothing will happen. Nothing will happen at all. My goodness me, what a couple of days to miss. Do you know what? In a way, I am kind of glad that I did have a couple of days to digest it all, because as with any story, and this is almost the trouble of what we do, isn't it? Is that it comes out and you have to react straight away. And then more information comes out. You go, well, maybe that changes things a little bit. And then more information comes out. You go, actually, maybe that changes things a little bit as well. I think on the face of it, certainly, with Dan Ashworth leaving, it's not a good look, is it? Let's be honest. It's not a good look in terms of we've all praised, waxed lyrical about the structure that's been put in place, or been excited, shall we say, about the structure that's been put in place, about it all. And, when you wait so long for a guy, I remember Sir Jim did an interview at BBC and he was talking about these great guys they're bringing in and bemoaning Newcastle for the gardening leave and all that kind of stuff. And it was a bit like, now for 5 months later, because we waited 5 months for him as well. We waited 5 months, and then 5 months later, he's gone. It's not a good look, and it doesn't add to a picture. Doesn't paint a picture of not something being chaotic, and it just adds into our really bad start to the season, doesn't it? But on the other side of things, what I will say is, and this is just from more my experiences in the non-football world, in the sort of business world, is that sometimes that does happen. Sometimes, you do make these big executive hires and you really think they're going to work out. On paper, you look at their CV and the interview process, you go, this guy, he's perfect. He's exactly what we're looking for. And then a few months in, you go, you know what? This really ain't working. Like, this really isn't working. And actually, you're in some meetings with him and you go, this guy's he's in. And then they open their mouths and you go, they ain't got a fucking clue. They got nothing. They got no ideas. And certainly around the table or around the boardroom, you go, we're all on a massively different page to you. And either you're going to have to adapt or it's not going to really work out. So I do almost appreciate the fact of, well, if it's not working out and 5 months in, it's not working out, what's the point of continuing on if it's not going to work out? You might as well make a change now. I only hope that they keep that level of ruthlessness with some of the players in the summer. Not so much now. You can't do anything about the players now. But when it comes to the summer and maybe even the winter transfer window in about a month, I hope they show the same level of ruthlessness. It's not as easy. It's not as straightforward with players as it is with managers and directors. You can just get rid of them. But if he's not the right man for the job and they don't think he was the right man for the job, and I see some stuff saying, too many cooks in the room sort of thing, and almost too many opinions and it needs to be streamlined. Okay, then I don't have a problem with that. But it does go back to, then you have the other part when you go, yeah, Ineos are still learning on the job, actually, aren't they? And maybe this is not going to be, I don't think anyone thought it was going to be super straightforward, but maybe there's going to actually be a few of these and a few more setbacks. And those people at Nice that were sort of saying, oh, I don't know if they're going to be the saviors or anything like that. You know, you're
Look,
gonna,
some people say, what have they done in football? Like,
yeah,
what to be
exactly,
taken over Man United, to be qualified to do that at Man United? What have
exactly,
you done in football? This ain't
exactly.
cycling. This ain't the Ineos. What's the driving one? It's not that. It's not
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's
Grenada,
not,
is it? I think so.
yeah, and it's not the sailing or
Brendan,
anything
whatever you
like
say. It's
that.
not the
I think,
sailing. This is
yeah,
elite level football.
yeah, which is very true. But it just seems, doesn't it, from all of the reports certainly, that there were almost two camps, and he was on just completely a different page to everyone else. And the only thing I would also say is this idea that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not really that involved, he's going to let the football experts do it, is bullshit. That clearly.
But is that a problem for you? Is that like when you
Well, it's not
when
what
you talk
it's not
about
what was
he's
said.
brought them in to make sure they do all of
Yeah,
that. But
it's
like
not
you
what was
said, the
said.
idea of that.
Yeah, it's not. Initially, it was, well, these guys are coming in and just everything's going to be recommended to him. And by all accounts, some of the things that Dan Ashworth was doing or saying, Sir Jim went, I don't like that. And now he's gone. So that suggests that he's got more, not more influence, but he's more involved than maybe we had thought previously.
More input.
Yeah, more input, certainly. And Sir Dave Brailsford, I know, but even because that was like Sir Dave Brailsford, why he's not as involved now because he doesn't need to be. And again, that's like, actually, that's not the case because he's clearly massively involved. But I think also what we can see is Omar Barada. He's the guy. He's the guy at Manchester United, and they like him. They clearly like him. He's the one that went and got Ruben Amorim himself. He's the guy that wanted him. And Dan Ashworth was on a completely different page. I do think it's interesting that the statement that Sir Jim didn't like after the Liverpool game about backing him included both Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada. By the way, kind of saying the same thing, but you know, and like you say, whether or not they, because there's even suggestion about whether are they going to replace him or do they just go, actually, we maybe don't need one. He can kind of siphon off those responsibilities between Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox. I don't know, but it's on the face of it, it's certainly more chaos. And I think heads are continuing to roll for the start to the season, which has not been anticipated by those in charge. You know, whether that's Erik ten Hag, his sacking, performances, transfer window, and what have you. They're not thrilled about it all, Fleck. They're not thrilled about it all. And it was just more chaos as well after just that result. You know what I mean? The result itself, if that was just all it was, you know, we're having to deal with that until we play the next game. It's not great, blah, blah, blah. Then we'd have been like, oh, it's not great at the moment. But it was just more boom. At 9 a.m. on a Sunday, to try and avoid, you know what I mean, discussion, but you can't do that at Manchester United. So, yeah, it's not ideal. It's more chaos. And then obviously now you get all the other reports about, you know, no Christmas party for the staff redundancies, ticket prices. It's just all of it is not a good look, is it, basically?
Yeah, it just made me look at a few things. Just again, I'm not going to go back into it. I agree. I agree. I agree with all the things you said there. And even yesterday when I was sort of saying how I feel the day before, I still agree with people who are like, listen, it's better to do it now if it really hasn't worked out than just. I do get that. I do get that. So I'm not going to go into it all again, but it did just make me think. So if Wilcox is going to get promoted, when you look at what Jason Wilcox has done, it just has me thinking like about the qualification rights. Like Wilcox was like at City in the academy, like a head coach like the under-18s, and then got like the top job of the academy. That's his forte. Then he went to Southampton for a short bit. Like he didn't rebuild Southampton to something, mate. He was at Southampton. Like, let's just, do you know what I mean? Southampton to Man United. Now he's going to fit, right? So his main expertise is in the academy. Fact. That's what Jason Wilcox has done. So now we're saying, so he's sort of, you know, might take on Dan Ashworth's thing, do all this, and now have to do this. You've got rid of the guy who is supposed to be good at building structures. That is Dan Ashworth. Done it at the FA, done it at Brighton. Whatever Newcastle fans say, had an input there. Gone. You know, Ineos themselves, like you say, the
But if he wasn't the right guy, then he's not the right guy.
That's what I mean.
You know
That's what I'm saying. So are they, which leading into the next bit of, they got to find the next people. They might not go and get someone else. Vivell can just
maybe
be more.
Maybe they don't. Yeah, maybe they don't.
Put it this way, and this is my point. As a fan, I feel more confused now as to what the hell's going on than before. And I'm saying that's an L. To make us feel more confused,
It's
and not
absolutely
reassured is awful.
yeah. It's definitely not. We're not coming out of this situation being like, well, I
We're better
absolutely
for.
see the vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see the plan of it. Now, whether or not we're better for it, that's probably we can't say whether we are or we aren't. You know what I mean? Because again, this is why I say it's a bit of a difficult one because I do feel like Dan Ashworth. It's almost like Ineos and certainly Sir Jim are like, the start of the season's been shit. We weren't happy with certain elements of the summer. We are throwing down a marker to say that will not be tolerated. And if you F up, you're gone, basically. And even at an executive level, which might not be the worst thing in the world. Because, and again, we have to be careful with this because if it was other clubs, if it was, Chelsea, if it was Real Madrid, if it was Chelsea under Abramovich, I'd tell you what, we need that ruthlessness at Manchester United. If it's not working out, if people aren't pulling their weight, then they should go. Our problem is because we know the club and we know the chaos is that we're like, wow, it's just more, it's more chaos and it's more madness. But at the same time, it might be a good thing because again, if it's not working, and they know it's not working and they feel like they've overdone it and they need to streamline the process, then maybe that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
But it's just like I said, it's on the backdrop of the loss at the weekend, the start to the season, the sacking of Eric, blah, blah, blah.
But also the backing.
More chaos.
For me, it was, it is 100% more chaos. And I just found it really difficult to just quickly move on because of the sheer strong nature of the public backing for Dan Ashworth to get him here. That's what meant. Again, I know hold your hands up in business. You can make bad decisions. I get that. But you're starting to accumulate a few big decisions that have cost the club a lot of money. When their primary aim, which they're telling us, basically the 1.5 million you've hiked in ticket prices has straight away. We don't even know what the compensation to pay off Dan Ashworth is or how that even worked. But that's already what for then? So basically, you're saying, and people could say sensationalizing. This is just the situation. Like, are you saying then that the concessions who have to pay more for the tickets and the kids who've got to pay more for the tickets have basically just paid for your poor decision to get rid of Dan Ashworth?
This was what I was saying. That's what I was saying on the pre-match. I remember on the pre-match on Sunday, I was talking about Sir Jim's comments on the tickets and all that kind of stuff. And my view on that is that it's not for the United fans to basically bail them out of poor decisions and mismanagement off the pitch and underperforming on the pitch. That's on them. Imagine punishing the people that have gone to watch them every single week and they still buy the tickets and they still buy the merchandise and all that kind of stuff. And now you're basically saying, we know you're going to do that. We don't look at you as fans. We look at you as numbers and we look at you
consumers.
As dollars and cents, pounds and pennies. That's how we look at you. That's a massive, massive problem. And again, when that's added into, right, Eric's been sacked, bad start to the season. We lost at the weekend. Now, Dan Ashworth's been sacked. As a fan, you're right. You do sit there and go, well, or I always use my dad as the example, as someone that will, is a big fan, not maybe every attention to that minutia, but certainly that. He'll see the news sporting director's been sacked. He'll go, bloody hell, what's going on at United then? You know what I mean? And that's the general reaction. So I think it's one of those ones where multiple things can be true at the same time with this, in that it is a sign of chaos. It is a sign of, like I said, it's another owl because someone they've brought in or backed hasn't worked out. But it can also be the right decision because it's not working out. And can also be the right decision to be ruthless and not let them be drawn out too. But one thing's for certain, people are absolutely looking at Ineos at the moment going, so what's going on? What are you doing?
The side eye's there. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care how calm you're being or how optimistic you want to be, because everything you say is right, Owen, and everything that the points that a lot of the other half of the community were saying to me yesterday of, it's good to be ruthless. If that was Woodward, you'd leave that person there for 2 years, let it stink out the place. All those people, good. I fair play. Yeah. But the side eye is there. I don't care what, because they've made, although we're cost cutting, they've made some of the most expensive mistakes so far. The Eric one was the biggest. 15 odd million you got to give him. Then you got to give Amorim more money to get him and his coaching staff. Then you had to pay garden leave to get Dan Ashworth in the first place, but we backed that. We got told don't get held to ransom. Then you get rid of him. You give Eric 200 million. It's they're making a lot of costly errors. That's what in a time when they're trying to be more efficient. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're already looking. You're making yourself look silly.
It's massively, again, it's not a good look, is it?
I'm
massively
saving money on United View. So basically, I'm going to get rid of this computer. I'm going to get rid of that thing, and I'm going to buy this one.
Yeah.
Just this M4. I tell you what, load of crap. I'm
Yeah.
getting rid of it. Yeah, but you just said you're saving us money. You told us that was the best one.
Yeah.
I got to take it.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the old laptop.
But at the same time, if you knew it was the right thing to do, you'd have to do it, wouldn't you?
You got to get rid of it and take the heat.
I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And he did. And to be fair, he was right when he was saying that. You know, when he was saying about, sometimes look, you got to make unpopular decisions. You got to make ruthless decisions, and ones that aren't easy. And sometimes we think not easy in terms of, they're going to let some player go that we all like or whatever. No, he's talking about like, it's going to look shit on me because I backed him, because I said he was going to be good, and I've got to basically admit 5 months in.
We're saying, I mean, that's the bit that basically there's the sort of celebration of his bravery and his ruthlessness. That's where that is the fifth. That is either you're a pessimist or an optimist, or glass half full, glass half empty. Depends how you look at life. Because I look at that as incompetence. Other people go, that's good. At least you know your mistakes and you fix them straight away. It is that, but at the cost of the club. That's the only thing. It's not like you just quickly. That's the wrong decision. No, you made us pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, one thing, if we're fourth at the moment, we're not. We're going. Oh, that's a shame. Didn't work out, but we'll go again next summer. We're 13th, or wherever we are in the league. We're like, this really ain't working. So.
But people say, look at Chelsea, Owen. Though, to be fair, we were all laughing at them. They had teething problems at the beginning. Few wrong mistakes. What the hell's Bowley doing? Clear late. You go and play NFL draft. You ain't got a clue. And now they're near the top of the table.
But I was talking to my dad about this as well.
Has the transfer strategy been good overall?
I was talking to my dad about it, and we were sort of discussing going. That one is good and bad, because obviously for them it's good because it's like eventually it's worked, but it's bad in the sense of I don't think that's the blueprint to follow. You know what I mean? I don't think the blueprint is just keep going, throw money, change, and then be like, how sustainable that would be for everyone else, But then at the moment, well, especially with football, like it doesn't actually feel like is there a blueprint for that? Like it feels quite individual.
To be successful.
Yeah,
it changes. It changes.
Like
Look at the blueprint of Man City was get a load of money from Abu Dhabi and maybe 115 charges. All of that is different. More now, 130. I don't know if you saw that. But also as well, like the rules change, and then you've got to basically like the rules. Like Chelsea know the rules really well, don't they? And they manipulate the rules to their advantage, and we're behind the times on the rules. And you know what I mean? It's like don't know. I don't know if there is actually a blueprint. You know what I mean? Well, because then you could go people say, and this is where again it depends what club. Some people say, well, look at Brighton. Look at how well they're run. They've got the next player lined up. They get the right profile. They've got the right types of players. They've got the right people running the club. They sell for massive fees. They buy for low fees. They are a Premier League sustainable club. And they're performing way beyond their means. For their resources. However, if you're to take that and apply that to a mammoth club like Man United, it doesn't transpire into the same thing. We can't just keep going and buying players for 2 million, then try and sell them for 100 million and etc. There are bits you can take from Brighton. That scouting network in South America is something. Why don't we have the next Belieber? Why don't we have the next Estepinian? Why don't we have the next Caicedo? Why didn't we get Buenanotte or Enciso? All these little young guys we did, João Pedro, whatever. I know they bought him from in England, but do you know what I mean? So there's bits you can take from it, but Man United can't turn into a selling club.
Man United and Brighton. You know what I mean? Brighton's expectations to finish in the top half every season. They might finish a bit above that. They might finish a bit below that, and it's fine.
But these teams are better than us. Like Brighton are better than us.
Yeah, but at the same time, will Brighton finish in the top 4 this season?
No, but we won't either.
Probably, but you know what I mean? But probably not. So is that a strategy for a long-term team that's going to be winning the league? It's difficult. It's really, really
very, very difficult.
To say about, by the way, Flex, we've got over 1,100 people watching, only 200 likes. We can go higher. We can go farther. We can go
criminal behavior.
Yes, exactly. So let's aim for 500 as well. Speaking of the transfer strategy,
Yes.
There's a couple of bits
Yep.
when it comes to this new one. First of which is about Christopher Val. Ben Jacobs saying that he will assume a leading role at Manchester United in January after joining the club on a temporary basis, as he should, by the way, because that's his job. I mean,
Yeah, he's already there to do that.
He was there for the next 2 transfer windows, therefore the summer and logically, surely won't the pressure be on him as well? Because again, if Sir Jim's not happy with the window, there would be pressure on him as well, and he's an interim. And kind of what we were saying as well, Ben Jacobs also said that Manchester United are yet to decide whether to hire a new sporting director. Jason Wilcox will take on many of Dan Ashworth's duties in the short term, which is, and again, this is also what's really weird about all this.
That?
Well, the weird thing about all of this, Flex, is about like the timeline of events about it all. And I think Manchester United have to be really careful with their language and what they admit to with this, because so the reports all say that Sir Jim was not happy with Dan Ashworth because he was a big proponent to keep on Erik ten Hag. He was a big proponent to stick with him and blah, blah, blah. But Man United also publicly said, well, Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth weren't involved in that, remember, because they weren't here at the time. So he lost his job over something that he wasn't here for, even though he was there for, and he wasn't officially there for, but was for pushing for. And in that time, wasn't officially Jason Wilcox taking over a lot of his responsibilities anyway. So I don't know. I don't know if it might be a case of Jason Wilcox where it's actually like he's kind of been doing it anyway. Dan Ashworth wasn't really doing it. But that from an organizational point of view is where you go back to, well, that is a mess. And then you look at the positive when you go, well, if he wasn't doing anything and it wasn't working out, then he should go and that guy should carry on doing what he's doing.
And I know it's short term, but like, again, so we were told that basically the role that was created for Dan Ashworth was super important, so much so. Sorry to cut back to that, but it's relevant to this, yeah? So much so that we have to wait 5 months for this guy to do this job. Jason Wilcox is not headhunted for this job. Jason Wilcox is headhunted for what even is he?
Technical director. He's meant to be, bridge between academy, first team.
Which makes sense, because like I said, his prowess is in academy football. That's what
certainly not really recruitment. I mean, recruitment maybe of sort of younger players to the academy, stuff like that, but maybe not so much big transfers.
Not so much that. You know what I mean? And then when he did get into that role, no disrespect, again, it was at Southampton, okay, in the Championship. So let's not, we can't just, Marcel said to me one time, well, Jason Wilcox has won the Premier League at Blackburn, good experience. And I'm like, of what? Like, you can't, that doesn't mean he's going to be really good at this job. So, but anyway, he wasn't headhunted for this, and now he's got to consume the responsibilities now of something he wasn't brought in to do.
Well, what if he was kind of doing it though anyway? What if it really doesn't make that much of a difference to what he's doing?
So what if he was doing? So then, what was Dan Ashworth doing there anyway? Then, if Jason Wilcox was doing
exactly, which is why he got the sack.
This is bollocks. It's just, honestly, it doesn't make any sense. And this is what I'm saying. We're trying to make sense of this. Going, well, what is that? It's crap decisions.
Yeah. I don't push back on that at all in the sense of it's chaotic and it's an L. The only thing that I do kind of push back on is that, well, look, if he wasn't the right guy and he wasn't on the same page as everyone else, and he was just there, then he shouldn't be there, basically. Whether or not Jason Wilcox is the right guy for it, but then thing is, Flex, we've done this with everyone. We've done this with everyone. We've done it with managers. We've done it with players. We've done it with executives of big reputation. Don't do it. We've done it with people that don't have that much of a reputation. They're great. We don't know. A big, I suppose, red flag with his involvement and all that probably should have been when Sofian Amrabat came out and was asked why he wasn't staying at Man United, and he said, "Ask Mr. Wilcox." Well, that shows you how involved he is when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? I think, as I mentioned, Omar Barada is probably way more involved on the football side of things than maybe we had anticipated as well. When you hear about CEO, you kind of think, well, you're involved on the football side, but you're also very involved in the business side of things. But from all of the reporting, certainly seems like, again, he's very involved. And that's not the first time we've heard him like, all right, he went over to Sporting to go get Ruben Amorim, or he went over to France to go get Lenny Oro, or he's gone and done this. So I think as much as, Jason Wilcox is involved, I think it's Omar Barada. I think he's the point guy for all that kind of stuff. Clearly, Ineos really like him. And also, you know, as much as the 113 charges or whatever, he has seen how a football operation is actually meant to work successfully, possibly illegally, allegedly, or against the rules. But they clearly like him, don't they? So it is a mess. And there is someone that said in the chat there, Wilcox and Barada were together at City. There is synergy there with that one too, which I guess does make a little bit of sense. I don't know, man. I think
at the end you're like, well, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't.
We just got to wait and see now, isn't it?
Exactly. We're back to once again. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the January window because I just don't know how we're going to make that work financially. Maybe we'll move some people on. Maybe there will be a bit of a madness in January, and we'll go, oh bloody hell, I didn't see that coming. But I think we go back into the summer, don't we? Going, well, what we're going to get? What do we expect? But at the same time, we've got with how this season's playing out, and where we're likely going to finish, what we're likely not going to achieve this season. That summer transfer window is massive. I mean, so massive. And everyone going into that summer window has to be on the same page. Everyone has to be, identifying the same kind of players, and everyone has to be. There can't be too many conflicting opinions about the direction of the club at that point, can there? And if they felt that there was, then that kind of needs to go. I mean, whether or not it's the whole stuff about he actually recommended Gareth Southgate or not. To be honest, if I was in a meeting, and we're talking about potential replacements,
he said, "Well, what about Gareth?"
And Gareth Southgate, I go, get out. You lost your job. We're gonna have to let you go, Gareth Southgate. But the other part of that is really weird is when they're like, "Oh, he recommended Eddie Howe," whereas at the same time they're like, Eddie Howe and him really didn't get on at Newcastle, or Eddie Howe publicly towards the end came out and sort of said, "Well, it wasn't really that involved,"
Exactly. There was this thing
was that
where
what Dan Ashworth was doing in the first place? Was he really not that involved?
But it feels like almost as well. We have to be careful with PR because, again, let's be honest. If you could be naive and just lap up everything that comes out in the reports against Dan Ashworth of why he's gone to cover up their shit mistake, we also can't just be like, it's all on Dan Ashworth. This is all Dan Ashworth's fault. No, it's not. And if you believe that, that is naive. If you believe that all this is only because he just wanted Southgate, which again, I say is a sackable offence. But, if you believe that, then you are very naive. I don't care about corporate world. I don't care about this, that, and the other businesses. If you believe that the multi-billionaire man who co-signed this guy and went on big BBC, bare interviews and saying Newcastle is stupid, we want this guy, he's best in class, this, that, and the other. We're not paying that. We'll pay this. We'll wait as long as it takes. He's the right guy. And then it's all Dan Ashworth's fault. It's all his fault. And he suffered the price for it. Then you're naive. I don't believe that at all.
I think
we're not going to know the bits about Ineos.
I don't think it's necessarily the Southgate thing. I think from all of the stuff that was coming out, and you have to kind of like correlate and put it all together, it looks like I just don't think Surgeon was having him. I don't think he was having him. I don't think he liked what he heard about.
And that's why he has to own it, because he was having him. It was his reason why he was here.
I think it's more of that, whether it is part of the people who's recommended to take over from Eric, whether it's part of the reason of going, we should keep Eric, or whether it's we should go after this player and we shouldn't get this player, or said he wasn't happy about the stuff after the Liverpool game and that kind of statement. I think there was just several instances where Surgeon went, I don't like that.
What do you think, Owen? Yeah, what do you think? And you guys at home, because we haven't really discussed this. Maybe it's a non-question. You don't really care, or the answer is nothing. How much do you think this affects Ruben Amorim? First into the job, new to the job, trying to find out what's going on. Does it hardly affect him because, I only need that in a couple of weeks, whatever? Or does it show to him,
relationship was like,
I just got here. I got told all this stuff in the big meetings with Dan, with Omar, with things that I'm going to be working alongside Dan Ashworth for this. I go to Omar for that. I go to Jason for this. It's one big this, that, and the other. Oh, they just got rid of him. Do you think that gives alarm bells to Omar, to Amorim, or he's so focused on sorting out this shit squad day to day that he goes, I can't control that. It is what it is. We move. How do you think it affects him?
I think, again, it depends what kind of relationship he really had with him. You know what I mean? In this sort of opening period, I think it might be a case of, because if forget this, like you said, this is when you have to be careful about the reports and that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it could be a thing of like, actually, well, No, I was only really talking to Omar Barada more often, or I was only really working with sort of Jason more often, or I've struck up quickly quite a good rapport
Yeah,
with
we
him,
don't know
quite a good
who he was
relation with
talking
him.
to more, or do
And,
we?
and actually, I didn't really have that time to sort of, pick up that kind of relationship with him, really. You know what I mean? So in a way, it like I said, maybe it can't help things in the sense of a couple of weeks in, a guy you're meant to be working closely with leaves. That cannot help things. But the fact that it's so early into it isn't the worst thing in the world, again, as well, because if it was like 2 or 3 months in, then you'd be like, actually, we did have some good conversations. We did have some good sort of talks, actually, and now that's a bit difficult. But if you lose what you don't know you had, you know what I mean? Is that the worst thing? Maybe you kind of start as you mean
People
to go on.
saying, hold on, is Wi-Fi doing a little bit of a thing? Oh, back
You're
now, it
clear now.
says.
You're clear now.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's a difficult question, which is why I asked it, because it's difficult to pinpoint what it is. Like you said, if on one side, on his way into Man United, Ruben Amorim, what we do know from the reports is that Omar Barada was the one who flew to Lisbon to have the meetings, and that's because he knew the hierarchy there already and has a relationship with them, and it wasn't a two-man job. Apparently, that was what when I read the Athletic piece, which is really detailed. It
Yeah.
wasn't a two-man job, so he went and done it. When he got here, obviously, the famous him getting out of the sprinter, shaking hands with Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth and doing all that. How involved was he? I mean, there would have been meetings at some point with all of them saying, "This is the plan. This is what we're doing," but maybe it was too short for him to really
Exactly.
get into
It's like
that bag. So it's probably not that
you
deep. They don't look
imagine
great.
you're doing a show on Talksport, yeah, and they go like, Flex, you're doing this show, yeah, you're doing it every day. Every day you're gonna do it, a bit like this show. You're gonna do it every day, and you do it for a week, and then a week later your co-host goes, "We're getting rid of your co-host. We're putting a new one in, or whatever." You'd be like, "Well, that's not really ideal. I was trying to get something going with him," but then you go, "But it's a week in. It's not as if it's ingrained,
I got to crack on.
And actually, you got someone else in there. A month later, you go, actually, I wasn't even presenting with that guy that long. It wasn't really like, you know what I mean? It's a bit. It's always like
Ruben
there is a
Amorim's
time
got
to
so
do
much
it.
to fix.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
it now. Do it early.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with Ruben, he's such a football man, and we're so shit that he's like, I reckon he probably saw the email or got the knock in his office. Said, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. Anyway, these tactics, I need to sort this. Like,
on a match day, wasn't it, as well? Because I tell you what was so funny about that, or interesting about that, is there were, and sometimes you wonder what these journalists know, because they were, I think it was Samuel Luckhurst, he put up that tweet, didn't he, of sort of going, Dan Ashworth just walked past us, or something, I'm paraphrasing, on Saturday evening. He's just walked past us, head down, quickly out past the press room, and everyone was just like, okay. And then the next day later on, you realise that he was actually being escorted out the stadium because he'd just been sacked like 5-10 minutes before.
He had his family at the game and everything.
Yeah, apparently. And then you get into, again, the sort of conspiracy part of it. You go, was that quite performative in front of the media? You know what I mean? Being escorted out. There's many a way to get out of the stadium.
It could have gone the same way he went in.
Apart from,
unless the gym's so ruthless, he wasn't welcome to use the normal. You're with the media. You're
in
with
front
them.
of the media. You know what I mean? It's a bit. It's a bit like, well, that's interesting, isn't it? You know what I mean? We're closing in though. Flex on 500 likes. We're about 160 away. We still got a way to go.
Come on, peeps.
Come
on. There's a whole load of super chats as well. Please do smash the like. We're nearly at 1,400 people watching, which is obviously very good. We need to start making these. The numbers of you guys watching is always the same, but we need to get these likes up to a base level of 500, guys. Let's do it, man. Imran says, which one do you guys prefer? Ticket price increase or points deduction? We know United are in PSR trouble. Well, but this is my point, though, Imran. Exactly. We're in PSR trouble. So you make a decision to try and help those things. 250 staff, getting rid of Sir Alex, put the season ticket prices up. But then to counteract that, you sack Eric, compensation. You bring a new manager, compensation. You now sack Dan Ashworth, probably compensation, or a waste of money, a waste of the 3 million we actually waited to actually get him. So the same PSR trouble we're talking about. That's my point. What are we doing to fix it if we're making costly errors like this?
And also, once again, it's one of those situations where you go, yeah, but that's not. again, that's not the fans' burden to bail Manchester United out. I mean, it's one thing if you're a tiny club and your revenue streams are so small and you go, well, we're all in this together. It's a big, community club. And okay, I get it. Say we're in League Two, and, those clubs in like League Two or like the conference and the fans have to bail them out because whatever. And even that's bad enough. People complain about that because they say, well, again, it's not on them. Man United in the Premier League. Publicly traded, New York City Stock Exchange. It's not from the fans to be like, we know you've been shit for like a decade and a half, and we know those previous still owners have bled the club dry and they've mismanaged and overspent and all this kind of stuff. We'll fix it. We'll fix it by paying more to watch this shit.
Exactly.
To watch you underperform again. That's crazy.
Yeah. Space to Die says Ineos knows how much fans didn't like the Southgate option, and they're using it to justify the Ashworth sack. Now, again, conspiracy theories in the chat, or looking at things with an open mind. We just have to be careful with everything that we get told, because of course, all of us straight away, as soon as we all heard that, we went sackable fans. Yeah. We all didn't want Southgate. So if you did suggest that, 100%, it is that vibe on get out, get out. I don't want to see you again. But we can't be naive. This is one side of the story. Dan Ashworth ain't said anything yet. Maybe he never will. Maybe he's had to sign an NDA. Who knows? Maybe he can't say anything.
Maybe he's back on gardening leave.
Maybe he's back on gardening leave now. Imagine after all of this, we make him do a mad gardening leave, like what Newcastle did.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because, and again, how true any of these stories are, but they're like, Arsenal might be interested. They're looking for a sporting director, blah, blah, blah. You just know that the revision is known on him if he does go to Arsenal. Of like,
there you go. It'd be like the Sancho thing.
Big mistake. You know what I mean? That's what it would be. Yeah. So it'd be interesting.
Red Baron says, I would agree the ownership bracket affected Eric Ten Hag a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it's causing disruption in Amorim's head. Interesting from Red Baron there, saying probably does have an effect on Ruben. So Ryan says, what's more important, optics or progress? Why are you crying? At the very top, you act on actuals, whatever the promise was. How was therapy, Ric Flair?
He always calls me Ric Flair. I don't think if there's any wrestler I look like, I don't look like Ric Flair. Ric Flair's blonde and looks like Deadpool under the mask. Is like, it's not. I'm not really. Yeah, interesting. The Ric Flair ones really works. You know what I mean?
And so Ryan says, "What's more, optics or progress?" Well, what progress is this? We've just gone backwards, mate. So I don't know what you're talking about. So Ryan, what are you talking about? We've got no sporting director, mate.
Well, no, it's not necessarily more. It's not necessarily more that. It's the fact that at the moment we have neither. We don't have very good optics.
We have shit optics and shit
13th.
progress.
We're 13th.
So what are you talking about? What does that even mean?
We're not really.
Like, why? That means you're sitting there celebrating that this has happened. For what?
I wouldn't. Like I said, I do push back on that. It's like a total disaster. But I wouldn't. My first reaction when he got sacked was a progress.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That was not my first reaction.
Ryan, you've just relegated yourself to Ryan. You're not Sir anymore. You're just Ryan, because that was you've had a stinker there, bro. You've had a stinker. And DigiBrands, big up to you for the contribution. That's your first super chat / contribution as well. So big up to you for the support as well. And you joined the UV members club as well. First thing this morning. So big up to you. We're at 400 likes as well. 1,400 people watching. So 100 more likes. 100 more likes. The bit about Space that I comes through late says there's a way to make money in this club. Switching music to all the useless players that we have out of the club. Casemiro, Ericsson, Lindelof, Rashi. I mean, on the Ericsson one, Romano just for no reason just keeps retweeting the fact that Ericsson's going to leave. We know.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting.
Someone
was saying this to me the other day about everyone's got to go. Basically, everyone's got a chance under Ruben Amorim thus far, and the only one Ericsson did play that like first game, didn't he? And he has not had a sniff since. He's not had a sniff since. And
has he even been in the squad since?
He's been on the bench a few times. He's on the bench the last couple of games, but he's not come on. And it's once again, it's one of those ones where it's like, does he just not fancy him? Does he just not fancy him? And he's like, big things running. Is Ericsson going to run as much? Maybe not. But on the other side of things, it's like, has he also been told by Ineos, don't factor him in? You know what I mean? We're getting rid of him this summer. We're not picking up his contract. We'll try and actually offload him in January if there's any takers. Like, just don't bother, basically. Have him in the squad, but that's about it. And maybe that's part of it too.
Yeah, and also the beginning of sort of we are seeing, I know that the team's changed so much, but with some players, with what we've got, you are seeing a bit of continuity. Obviously, in the back line, we've had to make a few changes, but we kind of know, that the wing backs are Ahmad and Dallo. Mazraoui is going to be used accordingly across wherever needs plug-in. Yoro is going to be the right centre back. I think there's going to be an alternation between Maguire and De Ligt as that
I tell you
centre.
what, though, Flex, yeah. This was mad. Like Saturday. So when I said this when the team news came out, obviously in the international break, and we were all doing those videos over and over and over again. Amorim's best 11. Amorim's best 11. That back three was in the best 11, and it was a bit like, well, that didn't go well, did it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like, this is going to be our best 11, and you look at the back three, and it's like, not great, and not even.
And when we said, I'll tell you what, we've got the players to do it. Like I tell you what, we've got slow setting off. When you're looking at Leacher, De Ligt, and Yoro, I'm having that. That's a good.
Yeah.
Obviously, they need games in that system together.
Yeah,
but
it's
one game, and they did struggle. But can I ask you a question?
There's question marks with it, isn't there? Like with Lenny or look, it's only second game, first start at Old Trafford. You can't judge too harshly.
No.
De Ligt, I still think people have over criticized him. I think he does have his limitations, but I think in that position, he's best suited to being in the middle of a back three. If he's playing the back three,
is that the level to get?
I don't think he's playing
up to the Is he physical enough?
For now, for now, whilst we can make do with that. Whilst we're looking at
but we're ready. But what you're saying, longevity, we already need better than that, though. Is what you're saying?
We need better in almost every position. Let's be honest.
That's crazy,
Leacher.
Where do you stand? Where do you stand on Leacher?
They're a big question about this season. He's had a stinker. He's had an absolute stinker. And someone, I think it was Show on the full-time view, he called in and he said that, and it's kind of true. Maybe the partnership with Rafael Varane was maybe a bit more one-sided than we thought.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Flex, you look like you're about to start point scoring.
No. We don't do that anymore in the fan base. It's not about that.
I thought that's what were you going to say?
Nothing.
Are you suggesting now you've never rated Lisandro Martinez?
No, I'm not.
Is that what you're trying to sort of suggest?
Nope. I've always rated him.
Is that what you're trying to suggest?
I've rated him.
Nah, I don't think you're being genuine now.
I just said he needs someone to hold his hand, and he needs the person.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said.
But also, let's face it, long term, that wasn't Varane. He's retired.
So, absolutely. No, I'm just saying. Yeah, just the type of player who needs to be next to him. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The butcher and all that, like going around doing everything, but like it's just not. Just need to calm down a bit. That's what I was saying.
So if in the
past, I was shot down. I remember when he was out for a bit, and Luke Shaw did a competent job. Obviously, I'm not saying Luke Shaw should be the one to replace him.
I think that's probably why people were angry. I think that's why people were angry about.
But I was saying he's just as good as him. Like there isn't this big gap because Lisandro's so good. It's not there. It doesn't
when you bring Luke Shaw into the conversation, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get pushback.
You get pushback if you're not listening to the bit that I'm actually saying. I'm not talking about availability. I'm not talking about he should get a new contract. I'm not talking about that he's the future of the club. I'm talking about just ability when they're fit. And the ability-wise, I was shot down for saying that like Luke Shaw is nowhere near him with how good he is and this, that, and the other.
But because again, that's because people are blinded by the injury part of it, isn't it? But
that's what I'm saying. But now we're saying Leach.
I'll tell you what. Ivor's not great then, is it? Ivor's not great then because we're looking at a situation where the other guy that we're saying is just as good is never available, and the other guy we're talking about is struggling at the moment and maybe is being highlighted for deficiencies. Either way, that's a position that needs to be fixed. Also, let's not get too mistaken here when it comes to all of it. If our goalkeeper behind us can not make those glaring errors and have a 5-10 minute period where he lost his head, he completely and totally lost his head because he did those 2 errors. And then did you see the pass he did like a minute later after that where he just passed it straight to him? I thought we're going to concede every second. I thought we're going to, and it was back to that again. And I think it's someone.
And I think he done with a free kick when it's our time.
I saw someone posting it on Twitter, and it's true. And they said, Onana undid 6 months of building up his reputation.
Well, he went 6 months back, did he?
in maybe about 5 minutes.
Did he go back 6 months?
What more in just the sense of there was this feeling, wasn't there, of like, well, last season he struggled, he made mistakes, but he overcame that. He's better now. Mistakes happen. That's fine. Yeah. But cool. But we just got a reminder of. No, like that's always with him. It's not just mistakes. It's like their goals. Their goals.
Yeah.
And we kind of forgot that when it came to
him
FA Cup final flex. He tried it.
Yeah,
He tried it in the FA Cup final.
Exactly.
He tried.
The only reason it was nervy in the last 10 minutes is because he let that stupid Doku go in.
He tried it in the FA Cup final. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then you have to sort of go, well, you want to talk about sustainability. That
That's
ain't
not
sustainable. That's sustainable.
And deep down we know it.
Keepers make mistake. Alisson, for me, is best goalkeeper in the league. He'll make a mistake, but it's way, way, way. He'll bail his team out way more often than Onana does. And this season, look, he's been really, really good, and he has bailed us out. But like that, it cost us the game. You know what I mean? It cost us the game. I know you can get into other things about, you know, players and all this kind of stuff, but like those goals, particularly that second one, that just can't happen. That can't. No. And what was mad,
it starts with Bruno, by the way. It starts with Bruno trying to do a 1-2 with Euro, but they should never score from that. Should never.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying on the match view. There was people like, you're overlooking Bruno's involvement. It's like, don't get me wrong. How many times have I said it, Flex? That's why I don't like Bruno being deeper, because he gives the ball away those kind of areas. I totally agree. You go look at him and go, you give the ball away there. But any other goalkeeper, you have that. It doesn't go in. So we don't talk about, we go, Bruno gave the ball away. Well, it could have led to something worse. The fact that it did lead to a goal is not on Bruno. It's on the fact the goalkeeper moved out of the way of the ball. And it's mad. Even Gibbs White comes out afterwards and he goes I
thought he was going to
go in. Yeah. It's in the middle of the goal.
Because he should have picked it up.
It's just,
I couldn't believe it. It went in, do you know what? From my seat, because there were so many players in between me and the ball, so I couldn't really see from the side because of where I sit. But you know when you watch football as regular as we do, the optics of how the ball goes in and the pace of it, can you go, something's happened there?
You get exactly. The initial reaction has to be, it must be
that was a deflection. Yeah, it looked like he went that way, but and when I saw it back outside the ground, because I thought before I do a review on this, I need to ascertain what's actually happened here, because I've only seen it once and it looked like he got wrong-footed. And if that happened, then fair enough. You go that way, it hits off the player, goes the other way, you're a sitting duck as a keeper.
It happens, yeah.
But that was like literally back to last December.
Yeah,
it was Champions League group. It was. That was how bad that was.
The fact that people can do threads on Twitter with multiple, you know, and he's been here, 18 months?
Yeah, and it's happened too many times for it to
too many
again. Yeah. So might go another 3 months without one, then this will creep in, might go 5 months without, you know, and that's the reality of it. And it's like also the Leacher thing, like I couldn't believe, I don't know what you think, like when the header gets won by Chris Wood and it goes over back in slow motion and Leacher's on the post, and I'm going, hello, there's a game at Old Trafford. Are you all right, mate? You could any danger of you turning and sorting your feet out and maybe actually clear that off the line?
Yeah, the first
and
goal,
standing there like an idiot as well.
The first goal I look at and I go, well, I don't know who's setting that up, in the sense of you've got this giant player against a small player, and
because he can't do that.
And I look at that and I go, that's a problem. I go, I don't know if that's necessarily, that's Leach's fault, he's not tall enough. I go, well, who's putting him in that position? That's not maybe the right setup, but I that's a problem. I agree with that. That's a problem. Like I said,
that's a problem every game as well in this league. That is a problem.
The third one, when they just watch it, you just go, well, that is on Leacher and Onana and everyone that was on the line, where they just go, it just goes in. Because both of the goals, they just trickled in. Even at the second one, it just trickles in. That one, it just trickles in, and it's like it doesn't smash the back of the net or anything like that. It just in, and then after that, it did feel like, didn't it, under Ten Hag again, when it was like, fuck, we're going to score, we're going to concede like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it felt more was going to go in. I was surprised that we got back into it with 3-2. To be fair, and that's just it. You just, it's just that glowing reminder. I know people say it's sensationalist or whatever. When I said I'd literally keep 5 people, maybe 6 if I include Garnacho, right, for the level. But even that, it's like, okay, cool. The levels of how good you need to be, like, to rely on players. It's difficult. We shouldn't be relying on Garnacho at this stage of his career. It's not his fault, but that just should not happen. Garnacho should be in and out of the team. So we need, like I said, after that 5/6 players, the rest is fair game, mate. It's fair game. Bye. It's not it. Let's be real.
Mean, I know we'll wrap it up very quickly, but you know what really concerns me is, and I was talking to a lot of people about this after the game, that no, I'm not like this biggest Bruno defender, you know, all this kind of stuff, because I think he did all right at the weekend, but he's obviously got deficiencies, obviously got problems. But the fact that when we take him off, we basically don't create any chances.
Nothing.
that's not even necessarily a sign of Bruno's so great. That's a sign of we've got nothing else. We've for some reason he is our only creative player. We've got to create anything, and it was the same when he got taken off against Brighton earlier on in the season. It was the same at the weekend. Gets taken off, and we create nothing. That is a massive, massive problem because you can say, oh, that's how instrumental he is to the team, but you go, but that's not good. You can't have that because even that means when he is playing badly, we have to keep him on because he's going to create something. We hope he's going to create something. If we take him off because he should get taken off, we're not going to create anything. That's
exactly.
That's such
big
an
problem.
issue.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's. There you go. There you go. Right. Red Baron says the Hounds out for Martinez is a bit of an overreaction. Sure, he wasn't as good as last season, but let's not completely write him off. And Super Arch says if coach backs Onana, we have to back him as well. A mistake doesn't cost the game. Lack of press and scoring cost us the game. We still lack intensity, says Super Arch as well. So yeah,
there's a few more you missed as well there, Flex.
Oh yeah, let's go back up. So Ryan says Ric Flair is for behaviour, not looks. Okay.
I hope not. Bloody hell, Ric Flair's got some allegations.
Chill.
Yeah.
Owen removed my sir after Fulham and showed me XG stats. It never ends well, but try it. It's earned. And Mav says, what if Omar's waiting for Tiki Beckett's step? How'd you say that? I'd say Tiki.
Cheeky.
Yeah, I never know how to say the Burgers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a City guy. But what if he's waiting for him? What, as in waiting for him to go so we can go back there? Or what do you mean? Is that what you mean? Hope not. And PS says the biggest disappointment from the Ashworth sacking was that Owen didn't hit the breaking news button. Flex, don't allow Owen to take a day off. You hear that, Owen? No more days off, mate.
No more
days. Ready to press the buttons.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. And Dill says still waiting for the United faithful to realise that's a Jim meddling in. Meddling is just Glazer 2.0. All about money and rich kids with toys just breaking those toys. Only problem is that our club is the toys. Strong words from Mandil. And there's a way to make Swinchy. Yeah, I read that one from Ash as well. So, right. Big up, guys. Big up to each and every single one of you. We're at 481 on the way out. So let's get 20 odd more likes in there. 19 more likes in there, peeps. And get us to 500 on the way out. We'll see you very, very soon. Take care. We are out of here. Peace.